Hello. Everyone, in this English episode we will be focusing on English story. Listening to English story is an essential part of improving your English language skills that can help you improve your listening, speaking, and comprehension skills. In this video, if I ask you a question, do you like coffee or tea, you can comment what you like. And now we will be talking about story. Let's start. In the heart of the English countryside, nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, lay the quaint village of Evershire. The village, with its cobblestone streets and thatched-roof cottages, was known for its peace and simplicity. Life in Evershire was predictable and serene, or at least it had been until the shadow arrived. It began one crisp autumn evening as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the village. A dense fog rolled in from the forest, unusual for that time of year. The villagers, used to the clear, crisp air of fall, noticed it immediately. They spoke of it in hushed tones at the tavern, the Black Stag, where the hearth fire crackled warmly. Thomas, the blacksmith, was among the first to speak of the unease. "It's not natural, this fog," he muttered, wiping the sweat from his brow, despite the chill in the air. "It feels wrong." Margaret, the village healer, nodded in agreement. "I've seen this once before, when I was a girl. It heralds something sinister. We must be cautious." Despite their reservations, life in Evershire continued as usual. The villagers tended to their chores, children played in the meadows, and the market bustled with activity. But the fog remained, growing thicker each day, until it became a permanent fixture, obscuring the village in a perpetual twilight. Then came the disappearances. It started with the animals. Chickens, sheep, and even dogs vanished without a trace. The villagers attributed it to wolves or poachers at first, but when Old Man Harrison, the village's oldest resident, disappeared from his bed one night, fear gripped Evershire. The village council convened an emergency meeting in the town hall, a simple wooden structure that had stood for generations. The air was thick with tension as the villagers gathered, their faces illuminated by flickering lantern light. "We must do something," cried Sarah, the innkeeper's wife. "We can't just sit here and wait for the shadow to take us all." Reverend Whitaker, a stern but kind-hearted man, raised his hand for silence. "We must remain calm. Panic will not help us. We need to understand what we are dealing with." Margaret stepped forward, her eyes resolute. "There is an old legend, one that my grandmother used to tell me. It speaks of a shadow that comes to claim the souls of the wicked. But Evershire is a good village, filled with good people. There must be another explanation." As the villagers debated and speculated, young William, the blacksmith's apprentice, sat quietly in the corner, his mind racing. He had always been curious and brave, traits that often got him into trouble. But this time, he felt a sense of purpose. He decided to venture into the forest, to the heart of the fog, and discover the source of their plight. That night, under the cover of darkness, William slipped out of his cottage. Armed with nothing but a lantern and a small dagger, he made his way to the forest's edge. The fog seemed to part for him, almost as if it were inviting him in. He steeled his nerves and stepped into the unknown. The forest was eerily silent, save for the occasional rustle of leaves underfoot. The trees loomed like ancient sentinels, their branches reaching out like gnarled fingers. William walked for what felt like hours, the fog growing thicker and the air colder with each step. Just as he began to doubt his decision, he saw a faint glow in the distance. He followed the light, his heart pounding in his chest. As he drew closer, he realized it was coming from a small clearing. In the center stood an old stone altar, covered in moss and vines. Surrounding it were ancient runes, glowing with an otherworldly light. William felt a chill run down his spine as he approached. Suddenly, the fog swirled around him, coalescing into a dark, shadowy figure. It had no discernible features, just a pair of piercing, glowing eyes that seemed to bore into his soul. William stood his ground, gripping his dagger tightly. "Who are you?" he demanded, his voice trembling. The shadow's voice was a whisper, carried on the wind. "I am the guardian of the ancient pact. Evershire has broken the sacred trust. I am here to collect the debt." William's mind raced. What ancient pact? What debt? He remembered Margaret's story and the legends of old. Evershire is a good village, he said, his voice gaining strength. We have done no wrong. Tell me what must be done to end this. The shadow seemed to hesitate, its form flickering. The pact was made centuries ago, to protect the village from famine and plague. In return, a soul must be given every generation. The debt has not been paid. William's heart sank. The village had forgotten, lost to the passage of time. He took a deep breath, his resolve hardening. Then take me, let Evershire be free. The shadow loomed closer, its eyes narrowing. You would sacrifice yourself for them? Yes, William replied without hesitation. If it means saving my home, my family, and my friends, then yes. There was a moment of silence, and then the shadow began to dissolve, the fog lifting with it. Your sacrifice is accepted, it whispered, and then it was gone. William felt a strange sense of peace wash over him. He knew his time was short, but he had saved Evershire. He made his way back to the village, the first rays of dawn breaking through the trees. The fog was gone, and with it, the shadow's curse. The villagers found him the next morning, lying peacefully at the forest's edge. His face bore a serene smile, and they knew he had saved them. Reverend Whitaker led a solemn ceremony in his honor, and a statue was erected in the village square to commemorate his bravery. Evershire returned to its peaceful ways.